All right, welcome to the show. Welcome back. We had a little break for the holidays, and so we're excited to be back for 2023. And today I've got a special guest with me today. Sitting across from me is Jason Junge, who is the CEO of WebToq. And you've got a really interesting background, so I'm excited to have you here because you're a graduate at MIT. You even, like your professional background, you were at one point director of financial strategy at Microsoft. And you actually have a patent for the consultative e-meeting platform concept that you got in 2018. And you're also author of a book, which I didn't know until I saw your bio, Why Freedom, which you could actually find on bookstores online. But thank you for being here. It's a super pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome. And so I think for the people listening to the show, we talk on the show about customer experience, outsourcing, managing a call center. And a lot of people, they come from different backgrounds. There's no like call center degree that you can get. And so people come from all over. And, like you went from graduating all the way from MIT to now CEO of this software company, WebToq, which we'll talk about in a bit, where you're helping businesses connect with customers selling things online. So talk to me about that journey. How did you get from graduating MIT all the way to CEO of a software company?
Okay, yeah, sure. So, yeah, I've always been involved in technology one way or another. My degree at MIT was in MIS, so Management of Information Systems, and from there I went to go work for a consulting company doing IT strategy consulting for Fortune 500 companies, like Ford and Shell and companies like that. So it's something that I've always been involved with. My dad was a tech entrepreneur himself, so I kind of followed in that path. And after being in IT strategy for about 8 years at that company, I got my MBA in entrepreneurship, and then joined Microsoft right afterwards. Was there for a year, and then went off and started joining small businesses and forming new companies. Been doing that, gosh, for about 16 years now.
Wow.
Starting up companies and small businesses, and it's been a roller coaster ride, but I've loved every second of it. And it's always something to having to do with technology, right? That's always been kind of my forte. A mixture of corporate strategy, coming from my MBA background, and how technology fits in. I think a lot of companies tend to use technology for technology's sake, and they don't take a step back and really analyze how it might fit into their strategy. And you see that all the time. It's like, just technology looks cool or promising, and they just put it in without thinking as to why.
That's the CEOs making some decisions. Oh, I went to this seminar and now you got to put this in place. And then the team is like, what? This doesn't fit our needs, and this doesn't help us.
Exactly. I see that a lot. And so, our business really speaks to that. It's like, when we design technology, we really design it from kind of thinking of the customer and thinking of the value proposition on up, right? So we always keep that in mind whenever we're adding features and doing our surveys with customers and stuff like that. And it's always thinking about kind of what's the value proposition, how can we add value both to our clients as well as their customers, right?
Yeah, because we're both kind of in the same position where our clients could leave. There's lots of options in the marketplace. I think you guys bring some interesting features that really I don't really believe they're found anywhere else. So that's something that could set you guys apart. But there's other features that are pretty commodity. Anybody can. There's a lot of people that have that.
Right.
So I mean, is that what drove you to add some of those features? I mean, because you got the business owners that are like, oh, the shiny objects. I want this shiny thing. I might not need it. How do you balance like what features you're adding to make sure that it's like useful for businesses and that it's on trend with what businesses actually are looking for?
So that's a really good question. How do we make sure that we're pertinent to the businesses, right, and to our clients? So this started because I was the CEO of another company before. It was a retail services company. Mm-hmm. So we had retail stores as well as software products for retailers that we sold. And one of the things that they wanted was to be able to sell online, right? E-commerce has been a behemoth for quite a while now, and so everyone wanted to get online and make money online and reduce their cost structure by being online. all our retailers wanted that as well. Well, our retailers tended to be more high touch. So e-commerce really didn't fit them, right? So e-commerce is kind of like you just take your product list online and then you let the customers sell it to themselves, right?
Yeah.
High touch, you have to involve the sales agent, right? High touch means that you have to have an agent involved because the product is too expensive or it's too complex or the sales process is too complex. And so, our retailers were wondering, well, how do I sell online, being that we are high touch? And we looked around for different tools and didn't really find anything that could help them. I mean, there was chat and there was email forms, click to call, things like that. But those really didn't utilize the power of the internet, kind of the visual aspect of the internet. And it tended to take people off channel. So if they started online and then you move them offline by going to click to call or email forms, you weren't doing them a service. You're doing them a disservice. So looking around the solutions, we really didn't find anything, so we had to invent our own. And so we came up with our consultative e-meeting platform that basically mimics a face-to-face conversation, right? There's nothing that beats a physical face-to-face conversation as a sales agent, right? Because you engage visuals, you engage body language, you're creating an experience. And that also includes the store where you're in or the office. All of that is an experience that you're creating that will help the sales process, but also embed an emotion and therefore memory in the brand in the customer's perspective. And so we wanted to bring that all online, right? We wanted to bring the experiential part of a face-to-face sale, but online. The visuals, the branding experience, the sales process, the sales tools, the merchandising kits, the marketing materials. We wanted to bring that online so that our customers, our clients, could really create that experience and in that sense brand themselves. And so we started out because this was a big need from our retailers. And the way that we maintain ourselves relevant is by always going back and making sure that we pull them and we ask them, it's like, what is your current problem? What are your current problems? What, frictions are you facing? And how can we help you? How can technology help you? How can our platform help you? And then, and then we talk about the features that are coming and then we get their feedback. And then we also do online testing, of course. But ultimately, it's a little bit of also of a gut feel, right? Because it's, like Steve Jobs would say, a lot of times, customers don't know what they want until you show it to them. And there's some truth in that, right? That's not the whole story, especially when you're talking, when you're in B2B. But that is part of the story. So part of it is kind of gut feel as to what I feel and my creatives feel technology is going and where it can take us. And the other side is also, of course, then pulling our clients.
So you got to stay on top of trends, not only with your customers, but what's happening in the marketplace. What kind of trends have you been seeing over the last, let's just say since COVID?
Right.
What's happening in the customer experience space? Because you guys play a big role in that. What do you see in businesses? What are they investing in, or what are they looking for?
So, unfortunately, during COVID, I think that the customer experience has gone back a little bit, backslided a little bit, because the focus has shifted from the customer to the employee because of remote work, right? So the trends that we are seeing is more around remote work, right? So how do you create a hybrid office where some of your employees can be working in your office and some of them can be working from home? And what are the tools and technologies that you can give those employees so they can be productive working offline, or I'm not offline, but out of the office? How do you keep team morale up when people are in different structures? They're remote from each other. How do you maintain a sense of community within your office when, again, everyone's not co-located? So a lot of the technologies and all the trends that we've seen has been more around that, how do you make hybrid work feasible, right? And how that's impacted the customer experience. It has made companies a little bit more remote in the way that they can then attend to their customers. And what I mean by that is that they've gone more multi-channel, omni-channel, because now they've come to recognize that customers aren't all going to be on the phone, or they're not all going to be in front of you in the store or in the office. They could be driving. They could be coming in they could be contacting you through text. They could be contacting you through social media. So there's different channels that they could be contacting you in. And I think a lot of companies, their eyes have been open to this, and so they've tried to use use tools that are more kind of broad based in their channels, multi-channel, omni-channel. So there's been a push into that by companies, but it's because of their eyes opening to the fact that customers are asking for that, right? It's not all about just simply going online and doing e-commerce. It's not all about building call centers where they just simply attend to calls. There is a multitude of channels out there, and companies have to be cognizant of them, have to be willing to be where the customer is, more adaptable, more flexible, and yet somehow maintain their cost structure low, right? So it's complicated, but there's a lot of technology that's trying to answer those problems, resolve them.
Yeah, it's fascinating because that's our challenge in the call center is those customers, they could be driving, they could be anywhere, like all over the place. And I think I talk to a lot of the business owners that are either feeling overwhelmed because they're at a size where they're still trying to handle it all. And they're like, I can't keep up with emails and texts and all this and different, a story that I could, a lot of business owners can relate to is, that they have messages sitting somewhere on some platform that they haven't gotten to.
Right.
So that's on the one end. And then on the bigger end, you've got businesses that they're just getting flooded with messages. They have staff to try to keep up with it. And maybe they're logging into multiple platforms and they're, maybe one person, all right, you got all the Facebook ones and you got all the Twitter ones. And it's not a seamless experience for the customer. It's not a seamless experience for the employees. So talk to me about that. And how do you guys help businesses solve those problems?
Yeah. So in order to solve kind of a multi-platform issue, which we faced ourselves, to be honest with you, we ourselves faced the issue of you've got leads coming in through Facebook, you've got them coming in through WhatsApp, you've got them coming in, especially if you're international, through text, through emails, through calls, through your website, through your land. It's such a plethora, and maintaining the account, the employee accounts to all of those different tools. Well, it was a full-time job for an employee. It's like you got to, you get a new employee in, you got to make sure that they get their Facebook account tied to your page, their WhatsApp business account. You've got to make sure that they get their LinkedIn account tied to yours. You got to make sure that they get access again to all your call center tools. They can get an account to your web chat. I mean, it was ridiculous. The management that went into this, and then on top of that, then they had to train these people on how they handle Facebook messages and how you go in and what do you do, and then LinkedIn, and then it was just a ridiculous amount of work. And so we were facing that problem, and our clients were facing that problem. So we wound up going omni-channel. Now our platform, it's one sign-on, and you take on all those messages. The other big problem about that. So, the first problem again was the cost structure regarding maintenance, right? Then the second part is that you have a lot of lost leads, because it's really difficult to stay on top of all these tools, to have someone monitoring them all at the same time. And then, staying on top, not just of the employees, but then also the messages coming in. So inevitably our clients were losing a lot of messages. It's like 5 days later, they would notice that a Facebook message came in through a comment. Someone posted a comment and no one answered it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, this opportunity lost. And that's gold, right? For my clients, for all of us that do, that gain leads online, every opportunity, every lead is just gold. And so it was just frustrating for them that they couldn't see a way to manage all that, in one place. And so we wound up going omni-channel because of that. So through our platform now, it's a single sign-on. It's one platform to train your employees on. And then from there, they have one message stack. So if a message comes in from the chat, from the web chat, from text, from an email, from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from Yelp, from your calls, we do call center integration, but it's not calls. And I'll talk about that a little bit, but you will see that all in one place. And so then you can attend to it, and then you have one platform to answer it. So it's one training, right? And then you'll make sure that none are ever missed, right? Because it's all on one stack and it's in one reporting system. And it's our clients, are just ecstatic about it. They're ecstatic about the fact that they can do that. Of course, they're also ecstatic about the fact that they can then enter into consultative e-meetings with their leads. But that's kind of the second half of what we do. But yeah, it was absolutely critical now that, with the world going online. And I think that's one of the COVID things too, is people, since they weren't traveling to the stores, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, not as much, they found other methods, right, to purchase and to visit. And so the usage of those alternate methods, again, such as Facebook Messenger, such as WhatsApp, those all skyrocketed. And so it was no longer kind of just like, our clients were no longer mulling whether they were going to go into those digital channels as they were before. Now it's like, I got to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Got no choice.
I got to be there. And so we answered that call.
Yeah. And that's the trend that I saw too. Like it was not only the businesses finally, after so much reluctance, like, all right, we've got to be there. There's also even more consumers that are like feeling more comfortable messaging a business through Messenger and not picking up the phone and calling them. And I think part of that too was they'd try to pick up the phone and call them and they wouldn't answer.
Yes.
Because there's just staff shortages and maybe no one was even in the building.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's some unique challenges there. Now we talked about one part of your software, we're getting the people in, and now you want to have those deeper conversations with them. And, we were talking about your software, how it helps facilitate that unique experience that you're normally, I think COVID, that was one thing that really showed us how important those face-to-face interactions were once they were taken away from us. Like, we need those back. And that's not always possible, or it could be like you're working with a company like me and our staff are all the way on the other side of the world. So how does your software help make that experience more meaningful than just a transaction online?
Yeah. So in order to make the transaction more meaningful and actually more experiential, so we went from the ground up trying to mimic a face-to-face conversation is basically what we did. And so, there's a few aspects of that. One, in a face-to-face conversation, it's convenience, right? It's like you walk into the store and there's the agent and you're talking to them. You don't have to make an appointment to talk to them in the future, right? You go into the store and say, all right, I'm going to talk to you in 3 hours and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
With web conferences, that's one of the big hindrances. Web conferences are very useful and helpful, but at the end of the day, they're not useful for immediate sales, right? For convenience, they're very inconvenient. We had to make something that was extremely easy to use, right? Where a grandpa could come in and they could use it. So you don't have to download anything, you don't have to go to any app. It's you're in and you're in. And so our platform is designed that way. If you're initiating a session from a website, for example, and you're starting a conversation through the chat or the chat bot, immediately, if you want to launch into the consultative e-meeting, it opens up in that immediate window where the website is. You don't go to another tab. You don't have to download anything. Consultative e-meeting opens up. From there, you can engage in a video call if you wanted to engage, the phone, the web phone, or you want to engage the video phone. You could do that on the spot, and that, of course, brings body language into the picture and stuff like that, which makes the experience more memorable, right? And better in branding terms, right? When you make something more memorable, you make it more brandable. So that's part of the expansion. And the other part is to be able to use tools on the fly and share them, right? So that's the other part of the web conferences that aren't useful is I can't share marketing materials on the fly with you. First of all,
it's clunky. Yeah. I'm like, oh, let me send you this email attachment. Did you get it? No. Okay. Right. Keep waiting. Yeah. Something like that. Right.
That's exactly right. If I want you to sign something, I have to email it to you or fax it to you. And then if I want to show you something, I have to go into my computer, look it up, choose it, and then share it on my screen. So it's very clunky. And it makes for a non-fluid sales process. So what we did is our platform is all pre-filled. So our clients, they pre-fill all their marketing materials in the platform. So it's a one-click. Everything's categorized and filterable. So if you need a certain video or something, you go to the video section and you can go to different categories or filter it and find it, and boom, and you pop up the video and you're sharing it. If you want to do a questionnaire, like a qualifying questionnaire, who are you? How big is your company? How many people do you have? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then again, it's in a certain area, you pop it up and it pops up on the visitor's screen, but they're able to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And you get those answers immediately and they get popped into your CRM immediately, right? So again, I'm not pulling it up on my screen so you can see it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up on your screen so you can answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true of contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can find a contract or an agreement, pop it up on your screen so you can sign it.
Mm.
And then I get a copy, you get a copy on the spot. Again, I don't have to fax it or email it.
Yeah.
It's true whether it's quotes. I can put a custom quote together, share it with you, and we can whiteboard it, right?
Mm.
So you can draw on it. You can, take terms off, and I can change the price and exactly like I would be doing it on face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then all of our tools are like that. It gets whiteboarding, file sharing, website sharing, all those things. The whole point is to make it as convenient and as powerful as possible to make the sale productive or the customer service effective, customer service experience. And at the same time, leave the visitor with a brandable experience. It's like, oh my gosh, that was easy. That was convenient. That was fast. Everything that I wanted, and it was quick, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have to worry again about going off channel to do other things. Take a call, answer a call, go a fax. We didn't have to do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And for the agent, it's so easy to train them on it because you train them once and done. You don't have to then train them on how do I use this with Facebook? How do I use this WhatsApp? It's all seamless, right?
Yeah.
Those sessions come in, whether it's Facebook or WhatsApp or your website, wherever, it's all seamless. It comes in one stack. And then I use the same platform, the same agent platform, whether it's one or the other, to sell or to service.
Cool. Yeah, you're speaking a lot of my language there. I think if there's anyone listening that's a sales professional, I think you hit some of those challenges right on the head with your software where you're like, I'm on Zoom, I've got to get them a contract, I got to get them to sign it. And I think if you've ever sold anything, like in a B2B space, you've dealt with those challenges. And it sounds like you're like, oh, here's the problem you have, we'll fix that with this software. So it's pretty cool to see. And now I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last couple of years, and I happen to know that one thing we both have in common, we both have a spouse that is a business owner. And I really believe that, like my wife helps make my business better in multiple ways. For one, like she has a marketing agency, she's got dozens of clients, we're one of her clients. So yeah, she has a big impact on my business that way. But how has having a business owner spouse help you out and give you a competitive edge that you wouldn't have had if it wasn't for her being in the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's invaluable having a spouse that's also an entrepreneur because, she hits problems from a different angle. Both because she's a different person, but also because she's female. I think, she is very intuitive. And I tend to be more in my head, and she helps me see things that otherwise, I wouldn't see again because I, too much in my head, and that is especially true when it comes to, HR issues. So, one of the biggest aspects of any business, as long as you have employees, is going to be HR. It's going to be hiring, motivating, managing, firing employees. Always going to be an enormous part. And it's because it's probably one of the most difficult because it involves human emotions, right? It involves life. People get sick, people get hurt, people have bad days, they have good days, and you're going to have to deal with that as a manager, as an employee, as a entrepreneur, as a business owner. You're going to have to deal with those things. And, it's not always obvious what's the right response? What's the right way to deal with things? It's not always obvious. And you don't tend to get very well educated in that. I can tell you from business school,
they don't teach you that stuff.
I don't remember learning that. I don't remember, learning. I remember about motivation, dealing with incentive packages and compensation strategy, but the life, the day-to-day life aspects of it, no one ever teaches you. And so you got to learn that from the school of hard knocks. Mm-hmm. But, having, my wife being an entrepreneur, she's gone through a lot of that. And she also, again, is very instinctual. And so she tends to be a great guide and mentor when it comes to, how do I think about this? How do I help this employee? And at the same time, deal with whatever they're dealing with, and at the same time, also help the company. It's been invaluable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. And that's interesting, the HR aspect of it, because I'm fortunate enough that I have an amazing HR manager in our office, and I don't envy the role that she has to play sometimes. Like last year, and with COVID happened, like there were a lot of cuts we had to make, and
right.
that fell on that person's responsibility to talk to people. Or anytime there's crazy stuff happening.
Yes,
especially like a company our size, 200 plus people. There's like I feel like we could make a reality show off of the scenarios these employees come up with sometimes. But yeah, so that's awesome. You get your wife to bounce that off of.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been able to help identify some different needs in the marketplace too, that I think my outsourcing business would be able to help solve, because she's seeing challenges. Like she's like, hey, my clients are having these issues and that issues. And I'm like, that could be something the call center could handle.
Right.
So you ever come across anything like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Because she's in retail services. And so, she always has great ideas for how we can help our clients, because she herself is a client. And so, she's got a lot of just great ideas for us, because she sees those problems day after day. And, and we try to always keep in contact with our clients as much as possible. But obviously having her there is of enormous benefit to us, because we get that immediate feedback, right, from a very important client of ours.
It hurts sometimes though, right? You're like, oh,
yeah.
She's not sugarcoating that one.
Yeah. So it keeps us on ball, keeps us on track for sure. Definitely. It's been just a great boon for us.
Cool. Speaking of a competitive edge, we're talking about our spouses giving us a competitive edge for our business. Customer service, we're both in the customer service space, and you and I were just talking yesterday about how hard it is for businesses to get it right. And I feel like if you get it right, that'll give you a huge competitive edge. In fact, businesses out there, they're like famous specifically for customer support or customer service. And I feel like a relevant, really recent example of one to show how difficult it is, Southwest Airlines. We would be talking about them. They're the case study, the poster child of great customer service, but man, did they drop the ball this last December 2022 during the storms. So just to show you how difficult it is to get it right. So talk to me about that. Why is it so tough for businesses to get this down?
Yeah, it is very difficult for businesses to do customer service right. And the reason being is because it's a multidisciplinary, multi-department function. And, it's incredible that you can see Fortune 500 companies that have basically unlimited budgets, and they all get it wrong. I mean, you talk about Southwest, the airline industry, the telecommunication industries, these industries are just famous for being hated for the customer service. And so, why is it multidisciplinary? Why is it multi-departmental? It's because it cuts across the company entirely, right? Because to get customer service right, you have to get the product team involved. They have to define what are the SLAs related to your product, your service, what are the service level agreements, level of services that you're going to provide in terms of returns, refunds, managing problems and issues. All those things have to be defined up front. Then you've got to get HR involved, because you have to define what kind of customer service reps you're looking for, what kind of skills. And so HR has to be involved in that, in hiring them and in helping them train and then helping them, fire and manage and all those things. Operations has to be involved, because operations is the one that's manning, the call centers or the stores or whatnot. And so they're involved in the day-to-day. Then you've got technology, which also has to be involved, because these service reps nowadays, are equipped with just very complicated technologies. It's you're talking about unified communications, you're talking about omnichannel, you're talking about online tools, you're talking about very sophisticated technologies that have to have very high levels of availability, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the IT folks have to be involved from the ground up. because also what technology you use is going to influence what kind of people you're going to look for and how you're going to train them, right? So they have to be involved from the beginning. And so all of these things then have to be involved from a strategic sense and from the marketing group. Why? Because these are, especially if you're a high touch business, they're absolutely critical to branding. So, if you're in real estate or if you're, in car dealerships or something that's naturally a high touch industry, the customer service you provide is inherently part of your brand.
That is your brand.
It is your brand,
Yeah.
right? And so the CEO and the marketing team then has to be involved. So you're talking about 4 or 5 different departments involved in this. And do you think that they ever do it? Not very frequently. Where you have a strategy system that comes together and defines your customer service and how it's going to work, and then from a top-down approach, then makes sure that everyone's on the same ball when it comes to customer service. No, it's not very often that management really, and executive management takes that kind of approach. Usually it's just like, all right, it's an operational thing, let them define it, let them figure it out, and let them do it. And relying on outsourcing has been a crutch for them, because here you have people that are singularly focused and experts on the technology, on the people, on hiring, on the day-to-day stuff, right? On working with SLAs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're experts on this stuff. And so they think that that's enough. They think that outsourcing into a call center is enough. And so they never take a step back and look at it again from a branding point, from a strategic point. They never look at it from that point. And so, outsourcing has been both a boon and a problem for these companies, because on the one hand, it's great to have professionals and experts that do this right? So that it takes it off of your table so you can focus on what's important, your products and engineering and whatever it might be. But on the other hand, they've used it as a crutch. And so they don't do the upfront work in terms of defining what your customer service is and how it fits within your brand and how it's going to help create your brand. And then working within all the departments to do that. So yeah, it's difficult to do. Not a lot of businesses do it right, but the ones that do, they just grow to the stars. You're talking about Starbucks, their growth has been phenomenal, and it was on the back of their customer service. Southwest, they're a giant killer. And in the beginning, it was because of their customer service, right? It was a humongous part of it. And just endless number of companies that just simply, what they provided wasn't all that different, right? Traveling from point A to point B on an airplane.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of difference. And Southwest kicked butt because of the customer service, right? So it can make all the difference in the world if you do it right.
Yeah. And, you bring up a good point. If you are selling things online and you're doing these transactions online, how is that experience with you different than any other person?
Right.
You've got to email them something. You got to send them something. They've got to look it over, sign it. Like, the process is similar. It's just, how do you make your experience better than everyone else's?
Right.
And you got to think about it too. You mentioned how outsourcing, it could be great, it could be a bad thing. It depends on if you're actually looking at your processes, you're looking at, what you're delivering to your customers. And I think back to our clients, and we've got the whole spectrum of clients too. We've got the ones, they get us set up and then they're like, all right, we're good, I'll move on to other stuff. And they don't really think about it too much. And it's really hard to even get them on the phone. And then you've got the other clients that they're, I think, maybe almost on the extreme other end, they're like constantly checking with our team and always talking to them. And, but they have a really big impact on that customer experience and what's happening, what those conversations are happening on the phone, or email or whatever the channel is. So, it really comes down to the business, because you could outsource and you could do either. I think somewhere in the middle is a good range, where you're not checking with them all the time. But I know that it has, like, the clients that work with our team more closely, where they're communicating with them regularly. They know who the agents are. They have quarterly meetings and strategy on, these are the things we're going to work on, all related back to making that customer experience better. And those numbers improve. We see that, and they put that effort. Okay, we got that done this quarter. What can we tackle next quarter? So that's the good clients, and those are the ones where, since we've been around 8 years, maybe you guys get to see this too. They actually see their growth over time because they're doing the right thing. The customers are happy, they're growing. And I guess in your case, they're probably buying more licenses. For us, right. They're bringing on more agents because now they have more customers.
Right.
So
yeah, and referrals, of course. Once they're in and they're utilizing the tools in a way that makes a difference to the company, they're just thrilled, and they can't stop talking about it. So yeah, referrals is a big part of it for sure.
Yep, referrals are huge, and if you're a good business, then that's how you grow. It goes back again to the customer service.
Yeah,
you give someone a great experience, and then they're going to go tell other people. So
yeah, it's amazing, right? Because business always begins and ends with the customer, right? They're the reason you exist, and yet how many businesses forget about that? Mm-hmm. It's like they wind up treating the customer as kind of a side thing, and it's like businesses. It's all about the customers. And then from there, right, from the customers, then it becomes about the employees, and then it becomes about the corporation, and then it becomes about asset strategy and all those things. But it must always start with the customer, start in and with the customer. But it seems like a lot of businesses kind of forget that. They get so large and so complicated that they start losing sight of that fact.
Yeah, and it gives an opportunity for someone else to come in and come up with something better. So
absolutely.
Cool. Well, I think this was a great discussion. I super appreciate it. I think it was long enough. We'll probably split this into 2 episodes. So we'll have a part 1 and a part 2. But it was great speaking with you today. Thanks for sharing your experience and your unique perspective in the customer service space with me and all the listeners. So Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. And so if someone listening, they're interested in a software like yours, they wanted to learn more, where do they go to find out more about your software or to get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way is go online, go to our website, webtoq.com, WebToq.com. Of course, we use WebToq to service our visitors and our customers. And so when you're on there, you'll find someone online there to help you out. So yeah, I'd probably recommend that. That's the easiest way to do it.
All right, cool. And we'll get it up on the screen so you can make sure you don't miss it. And we'll put some links in the show notes there. So, well, thank you guys all for listening to the Contact Center Cactus Chat. And we will be back with some more episodes. We're just starting out the year 2023 and got a lot of exciting people that we're going to be interviewing this year. So stay tuned and keep listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode.